Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. It is certainly cold outside. If you are across the Midwest, the Mississippi Valley, and even down in the southern plains, where we have widespread freeze warnings from portions of the Chicagoland area up toward Milwaukee, all the way back through St. Louis, getting in toward the Tulsa region, Oklahoma City, and even as far south as the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex this morning, with freeze watches continuing across the Ohio Valley and into the deep south in anticipation of the cold air moving further southeast as we get into your Halloween morning. Waking up this morning, though, temperatures are widespread into the single digits and teens across the north central plains, getting back up into the northern Rockies. It is a very cold go of it if you are heading out the door this morning up there. The freezing line, however, is all the way south into North Texas here, approaching the Dallas-Fort Worth area, approaching Little Rock, and even past the St. Louis area and approaching Paducah, getting closer to Indianapolis and Detroit as we go into this morning. You can clearly see where the cold front has not been quite yet, where temperatures this morning are into the 50s and low 60s from the Delmarva region down into the southeast and including Florida this morning. But there's where the cold front is here today. And you can see it will start to clear areas across the southeast and the east coast as we go through the day. So the expectation will be the cooler air will continue to move further and further towards the south and east as we go through the day, but not before high temperatures across the Carolinas, all the way up perhaps into the Virginia region, southern Maryland, southern Delaware, getting into the low and middle 80s, upper 80s perhaps across most of Florida as we go into this afternoon. But there's the shock to the system, folks. Behind that cold front, temperatures will be into the 20s to the north, where we have that deeper snowpack with that recent snowstorm across Montana into the Dakotas, and then 30s and 40s thereafter further off to the south. And we're only going to get to 50 degrees in Dallas, 43 in Oklahoma City, and maybe 44 in St. Louis as we get into this afternoon. So it will be a fall and it'll be a crisp day as we go into the afternoon. That is for sure. Well, if you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. It's absolutely free to do, and you get detailed weather breakdowns right here on Weather on the Go. And also be sure to press the thumbs up button, the like button down below. It helps to get this information passed along to more and more people. Well, let's go into your Halloween forecast, because Halloween is actually tomorrow on your Tuesday. And here's your high temperatures heading in towards Halloween Day itself on Tuesday. So this is tomorrow. You can see high temperatures only reaching, again, the middle and upper 20s further to the north into the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. But further to the south, a little bit warmer, a touch warmer across the southern plains. Temperatures will be into the 50s, and then any real warmth will be down into Florida and southern Georgia as we go into Halloween itself. And then as we go into Halloween night, Tuesday night, you can see the cold air is back, and it is on the move. It's moving further off to the east. So places along the east coast and the southeast, yes, we're approaching freezing in Atlanta. We're getting down into freezing territory at 32 degrees Fahrenheit there into Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, 31 just below freezing into the Jackson, Mississippi region. So you can tell that cool air will be on the move for you on Halloween. And with the cold air in place, we will be watching. We have an active jet stream over Canada, and this is actually going to be diving southeast, and this is what we call a clipper system. We start to see these more as we go in toward late fall, and especially through the winter months, you notice them more often with that northwesterly flow. And we'll have one of those moving across the Great Lakes region as we go into your Halloween time frame. And with the cold air in place, with moisture and cold air, yes, you have snowfall with this clipper system as we go into your Halloween morning. So across Wisconsin, particularly the southern part of the state, over much of Lake Michigan there, western Michigan, and even parts of northern Illinois, could be seeing more of that snow squalls moving through, and it will be windy as well. So we could be seeing some visibility restrictions with this activity as it moves through for your morning commute. That will switch over to the east into the Indianapolis region, Toledo, getting in over there toward portions of Grand Rapids, Michigan, as we go into your Halloween afternoon. So watch out for snow squalls there. And then as we go into Tuesday evening, trick-or-treating time frame, yes, we still have those blustery conditions, cold conditions, and some snow showers here or there from Detroit down through portions of Ohio there toward the Columbus region and back toward Indianapolis and Fort Wayne area as well. So that will be an area to keep an eye on for some snow showers and some cold weather if you're trick-or-treating across the Ohio Valley for Tuesday evening. And it will be windy, folks. Here's your low-level winds, and you can see they will be screaming in out of the north and west, even with the snow falling. We could be seeing gusts easily approaching 30, if not 40 miles per hour, and the strongest of those gusts could be just east of Cook County there in Chicago across southern Lake Michigan. We could be seeing gusts approaching 50 miles per hour for your Tuesday evening. So it will be very windy with that snowfall. And speaking of the snowfall, total snow accumulations, we're not really expecting too much up across this region, more of a nuisance than anything else. That's typically what you see with these early season clipper systems. Don't have a lot of moisture with them because they come from the north and west. Typically, you need the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and that's not really what we have here. So maybe a few snow showers that could, make for a little bit of some slick travel through Wisconsin, up here through Minnesota. Maybe a half an inch of snow on grassy surfaces. Maybe another half inch or so up to an inch into western lower Michigan on grassy surfaces. But other than that, northern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, we're just expecting snow showers, not really much in the way of accumulation. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, talking about the rest of the country on Halloween, it's going to be high and dry. We got a very strong Arctic type high pressure system across the Central Plains that will be controlling our weather. Lots of quiet conditions. This is about as quiet as it gets across North America this time of year. So take advantage of it while you can, even with the colder temperatures. And here's your wind forecast across the United States. It will be windy across the Mississippi Valley, not only up across the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, but further down to the south into Dixie Alley and down toward the Gulf Coast, where we could be seeing wind gusts over 20 to even 30 miles per hour as well. So we will be seeing those blustery conditions, and that will combine for some wind chills out there. So make sure to bundle up again if you were heading out trick-or-treating for Tuesday evening. But what is next? As we move into early November here, this is the first day of November on Wednesday, the middle of this week, and it's going to start off with some colder temperatures across the eastern United States and with near normal to above normal temperatures for the western United States and western Canada. For our friends up here into British Columbia and Alberta, will be above normal generally as we start November. But as we go through the week towards the first full weekend of November, there's going to be some major changes that occur, and we could see that warmth spreading further east into the middle of the country around the Corn Belt, and maybe even further east than that towards the Tennessee and Ohio River Valley by the time we get beyond Friday towards Saturday, Sunday. So definitely starting to see some warmer weather for November standards. And you can see that clearly with the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from Saturday, November 4th through Wednesday, November 8th. And you can see the warmth will start out west, but it will transition from west to east further across the plain states and in toward the southeast by the time we get through this upcoming weekend and into the following week. So this is a nice sight to see after a cool down. And just previewing some of those temperatures for this upcoming weekend. This is Saturday, November 4th, and we'll take it, folks. I mean, 50s and 60s up into the Ohio Valley, the mid-Missouri Valley this time of year as we get into early November. That is anomalously warm, and 70s further to the south, low 80s in the Rio Grande Valley and southern Florida. We'll take it there on Saturday, and we'll just copy and paste that over to Sunday on November 5th as well with much of the same. So definitely seeing a warmer start to November, that is for sure, but also an active start as well. We'll have very active weather, especially across the Pacific Northwest for our friends in Seattle, up through Washington State there, down toward Portland and in Oregon, Northern California, and spreading over toward the Boise, Idaho region, and even further east from there through the Northern Plains and into our Midwestern states as well, where it will remain dry, though, underneath of that across Southern California and the Southern Four Corners region, and that will extend down in toward Texas Hill Country as well towards the weekend and during the following following week. Looking at total rainfall accumulation now through next Monday, so this takes us a full week through November 6th, and you can see clearly where the active weather will be and where the active weather will not be. And it clearly will not be across the Great Plains very much, or the Four Corners region, or really much of the southeast either. You see a lot of white on here. That's not any precipitation accumulating, but you do see some across the Ohio Valley, some across the Northeast, really not hefty amounts, but just more of a nuisance than anything else over the next week. The real eye popper here is across the Pacific Northwest, where we're talking some heavy rainfall. And zooming it in here, the Seattle region, we could be upwards of 4 to 5, even 6 inches worth of rain between now and next Monday. Down toward Eugene, the Medford region, even Portland, we're talking a couple inches of rain for you. And then into northern California, especially near the coast, a few inches of rain there. And then further east, more rain into Idaho and western Montana. And it looks like we're going to see some decent snows with this as well, with several inches of accumulating snow into those higher elevations as we go through the next week. So the ski resorts out there will be loving it, that is for sure. Well, transitioning over here to the tropics, it's going to be busy. We are keeping an eye on a system that develops into the central and western Caribbean, potentially toward later this week. And the National Hurricane Center already has this at a 40% chance of development, so just below 50-50 odds here. But I do feel that will be increasing in a big way as we get closer toward the middle and end of the week, because looking at this synoptically, this is the GFS model. The wind shear is not very strong in the western Caribbean later this week. You can see with those brighter colors to the north across Texas into the Gulf Coast and then up towards Florida, those are the stronger wind shear values, and that stays well to the north there, generally north of Cuba. So where this system could reside later this week, it's going to have a favorable environment with low or no wind shear to contend with. We have a little bit of a hostile environment starting to develop by the weekend, with some more wind shear trying to wrap around the leading edge of the system. But even so, it's really not that strong even as we go into this weekend at all. And by that time, it may be making landfall in Central America. So let's kind of look at this a little bit more and break it down for you. Zooming out the picture here, we have a high pressure system over the east coast of the United States. That's going to be keeping us very dry for this upcoming weekend. And that's important because you have the lowering of the pressure underneath of that. And this is prime time for hurricane season still into November. And you can see the Caribbean is very untapped this time of year. We haven't had really anything to move through this region all hurricane season long. So this system, if it gets going, will have a lot of legs with it as we go toward the weekend. So let's look here at the GFS model. It does tend to do pretty well in the medium term for tracking these type of systems. So later this week, we're talking Thursday and Friday time frame, already down to maybe a 996, 997 vicinity low pressure system. So that's already pretty decent into the central Caribbean here over the open waters. Remember, these waters are very warm, and we'll show you in just a moment. But then as we go into this weekend, rapid intensification, much like we saw with that system that hit Mexico not too long ago. And that could definitely occur as we go towards Central America, but maybe, not a category 4 or 5 system, but potentially a stronger system to contend with as we go into this weekend. So we'll continue to watch that and how strong it may or may not get into the coming days. But there are growing signs that this system will rapidly intensify, and just showing you the proof of that here, the GEFS ensemble members, this is the American ensemble guidance, showing strong signs of a low pressure system in the orange here. That's high up on the scale, means a low pressure system will likely be in the Western Caribbean by Saturday the 4th. You can see even the Canadian ensemble guidance, the GEPS, is in the same ballpark as well. And to some degree, the EPS ensemble members, the European ensemble guidance, is also very close across the Western Caribbean by this upcoming weekend. This is on Saturday, November 4th. So this will be something to watch as we move forward through the week, and we'll keep tracking it here, especially when you see these sea surface temperatures. This is in degrees Celsius, but we're up to 30, 31 41 degrees Celsius, folks, across the central and western Caribbean. This is untapped water. Remember, we haven't had a lot of stronger systems in the Caribbean this season. So this is something to watch as we move forward. And you can see these anomalies are off the charts for this time of year, really at all. So we're continuing to watch this as we move through the week. Something to keep watching if you live into the Caribbean or especially into Central America, as this will be pushing from east to west during the week. So we'll be continuing to track it right here on Weather on the Go. And it's not uncommon into early November to see any of these systems developing in the Caribbean. You can see a lot of those origin points are in the Western Caribbean in particular, even up toward the Yucatan. So we can still see hurricanes and even major hurricanes into early November. So definitely don't let your guard down anywhere across the U.S., the Caribbean, or the Central Americas, because things can still happen with hurricanes even into November. So we want to keep you aware of that. Well, if you like detailed weather breakdowns, such as the one I just provided to you, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. It's absolutely free to do, and you get content here with the weather all week long. Make sure to get thumbs up as well with that like button down below. It definitely helps out to get all this weather information passed along to more and more people. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It goes a long way in reaching more and more people. If you do share this video by pressing the share button, it really helps out. Thank you guys so much for that as well. Well, thank you guys so much for watching just in general, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their Monday out there.